And we welcome you to Salt Lake City for a matchup of ranked teams under the lights. Number 24 Utah, 12 hours after hosting College Game Day for the 6th time, welcoming number 7 for the 6th time, welcoming number 17 Cincinnati. Night mode here in Salt Lake. Black jerseys for Utah with red numbers, and all the fans wearing black t-shirts. Utah trying to keep Big 12 title hopes alive. Cincinnati thinking college football playoff. And a strike thrown here by the Utah quarterback, Devin Dampier, completing it to the tight end, Dallin Bentley. Cincinnati had the ball first, went 3 and out. And now Dampier going to work. He did not play in Utah's last game against Colorado with an ankle injury, but he is back starting tonight and faced with a 3rd down and 4.
One of the best 3rd down offenses in the country coming into this. Number 1 in the Big 12, number 3 in all of college football, and a big reason the way they run the football. And they love to run off this side right here in these situations.
Going to run a jet sweep here. And out near the 39 and pushing towards the line to gain is Bray. Going to mark him short. 4th down and inches here for Cincinnati, or for Utah rather.
When decision time, they're going to go big personnel on the field. Kyle Whittingham, 4th and short. This is one of the most veteran, best offensive lines in the country. And they're going to keep them on the field for this 4th and short.
Bring in a defensive lineman to play fullback here. And the play clock down to 5. Rodgers falls forward, got close to the line to gain with 2nd effort. The initial hit by Thompson and Sanks, he didn't get it there, but may have fallen forward. Waiting for them to spot the ball, and it is spotted right at the 40.
With Jonathan Thompson, 22, does a really nice job getting the initial penetration. Well, it's a great extra effort at the end to even get a chance. Jonathan Thompson, he's going to do a really good job getting downhill, knifing in, and creating this contact in the backfield. And it's the extra effort by Rodgers at the end that even gives him a chance.
We also can't see if Rodgers is down before that last surge, based on the replay review. It is a 1st down, just enough to move the chains as they go for it on 4th down. When you think about Kyle Whittingham, he's a defensive coach. You don't think about going for it on the opening possession inside your 40 on 4th down.
Well, you've got 5 starters up front with at least 21 starts under their belt. They trust these guys. And Dakari Rodgers, one of the better short yardage backs in the Big 12. They lean on him and gets it by the nose of the football, and that great 2nd effort.
Utah at 6-2, 3-2 in conference play. Cincinnati 7-1, 5-0, tied with BYU atop the Big 12 standings. And getting hit is Bird Ficklin. The ball came out, but he's ruled down. No gain on the play. Ficklin is the backup quarterback, but started for the injured Dampier last week and had a huge day against the Buffaloes.
So this ball's definitely out. Logan Wilson, as Ficklin is held up, he's going to rip this out. But Bird Ficklin able to come on top of it. Wilson rips this ball, comes clean. And fortunately, that ball on the ground, Ficklin very wisely reaches over and brings it in.
So on 2nd and 10, Dampier back out there throwing on the run, and it's high, intended for J.J. Buchanan. Christian Harrison, the son of 2-time Super Bowl champ Rodney Harrison, in coverage. 3rd down and 10.
They love to get Dampier on the move. It's when he's at his best, but good coverage down the field on J.J. Buchanan, setting up this 3rd and long situation. Tyson Veit, the defensive coordinator, we dial up some pressure here on Dampier.
Dampier steps up, takes off, makes a nice cut, and bounces just shy of the 50-yard line. They're going to spot a little bit closer at midfield. Waiting to see if it will be a first down. It is first down.
Excellent job by Dan Pierce. Ooh, they may take a look at this. Elbow down. Where was that football when the elbow came down? As you're saying, he got enough to move the sticks. Great job there on third down by Dan Pierce. So elusive.
Dan Pierce on the design quarterback run. And inside the 40-yard line is Wayshawn Parker, who took the direct snap that time, lined up at Wildcat. And it's a gain of 11 for Parker.
With counter action, and Wayshawn Parker is really good. Pull backside guard, backside tackle, and it's going to open up. And boy, Parker's got really good feel. See how he's just patient, able to make guys miss, and a nice pickup for another first down.
Dan Pierce to throw now, and takes a shot into the end zone. Two receivers are there for Utah, and it's incomplete. Both Benny and the tight end Bentley had a shot at it. And obviously a mistake there to have both guys basically running the same route in the same space.
Yeah, both guys should not be running in this same area. I think he was looking for 88, Dallin Bentley down the field. But then you see the speed of also the safety, Jackson Benny, gets there. Boy, missed opportunity. That ball goes right off the hands of the big tight end, Dallin Bentley.
It was a heck of a throw to Bentley if he was indeed the intended receiver. Parker on 2nd and 10, wrestled to the ground after a gain of 4. This drive for Utah started inside its 5-yard line. They'll play 13 of a 5-minute drive coming up here for the Utes.
Got to be so mindful if you're Cincinnati defensively of Dan Pierce breaking the pocket and being able to pick up the yards as a runner. We've seen it once on 3rd and 10.
Dan Pierce throwing deep, and it's broken up, incomplete. It's intended for Buchanan. Harrison knocked it away, and it's 4th down and 7. Be about a 53-yard field goal try from here, but the offense is staying out there.
Really good by Harrison. He's going to work over the top of this route and get there just in time to create the pass breakup. Excellent timing by Christian Harrison.
They do have a kicker in Dylan Curtis, who made a 53-yarder last week and a 54-yarder earlier, but they're going for it on 4th and 7. Dan Pierce has room to run, and he lowers his shoulder and thrown down and thrown forward. Very close to another first down. Jake Golday on the tackle, and it is a first down for Utah.
Boy, this is great strength by Dan Pierce. Golday, one of the best linebackers in the Big 12. He stops him short. Look at the effort here as he reaches that football over the line to gain and converts on another 4th down. Well, you've got to keep contained, Dave. You've got to keep contained. On that play right there, Cincinnati, the defense again came inside, allowed Dan Pierce to get to the edge.
Bird Ficklin back in at quarterback. Dan Pierce is in the game as well, lined up at receiver. And a design run for Ficklin, and he's grabbed at the ankle and brought down after no gain on the play. That was Gola Collard. And there for Cincinnati.
Does a nice job. Gola Collard fighting underneath that block and getting Ficklin to the ground right around the line of scrimmage. We saw both quarterbacks in there that time. They told us there was a chance we'd see that. Bird Ficklin coming off a massive game on the ground a week ago. Want to continue to get him touches.
Play 16 of the drive. Here's Daniel Gray, the true freshman. There are 2 penalty markers down. Seen a lot of different formations, a lot of different players lined up at quarterback here on this opening drive, which has taken 7 minutes off the clock. And Cincinnati headed first and went 3 and out.
Illegal motion, offense, number 13, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's on Bray. Utah, it's 2 losses against Texas Tech here at home and at BYU. The lone loss for Cincinnati was week 1 against Nebraska. They've won 7 in a row since, the longest win streak for the Bearcats since they went to the college football playoff in 2021. Started 13-0 before losing to Alabama. So 2nd down and 15. Dampier on the rollout, throws a strike. Inside the 10, breaking free. Ryan Davis, touchdown Utah. They go basically the length of the field in 16 plays and take up essentially half the quarter. But pay it off with Ryan Davis's 4th touchdown catch of the season. And Curtis's point after sneaks inside the right upright to make it 7-0.
Well, Jake Golday, the linebacker, he's going to stay there and freeze. He's not going to move. Christian Harrison's going to get outside, and then the route is going to be perfect by Ryan Davis. They love to move the pocket with Dampier. He fires a strike. Poor tackling on the back end, and an early lead for Utah here at home.
You're watching the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
Welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Downey Unstoppables. From Salt Lake City, Utah, you are watching the Big 12 on ESPN. 94th consecutive sellout at Rice Eccles in Salt Lake, and Utah on top midway point of the first quarter, 7-0. Touchback, and so Cincinnati will start on its 25. And welcome to the booth. Dave Pasch, Dusty Dvorak with Taylor McGregor down on the field. We've briefly seen Brendan Sorsby, but once he comes back on the field, fans are going to be watching one of the most underrated players in all of college football.
If you don't know about him, you need to know about him. 27 touchdowns accounted for coming in. True dual threat. We haven't seen him running yet. His only 2 passes were both batted down, but after we saw Utah go 16 plays, 94 yards, one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country is going to play like it here tonight against an excellent Utah defense.
And on first down, they run the ball to Zion Johnson, a true freshman. They're without Evan Pryor, their #1 running back, who got hurt last week. BYU and Cincinnati both 5-0 in the Big 12. Texas Tech will host BYU next week. College Game Day will be there. The Red Raiders are 5-1. And 4 two-loss teams. As Johnson gets the carry again and thrown down. There's a penalty marker down. Jonah Leah with a stop for Utah.
Offsides. Defense, number 16. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
We showed the standings, Dusty. In your mind right now, likelihood of the Big 12 getting more than 1 team. We got a lot of football left, but based on what you've seen from watching the conference so far this year.
Boy, it's a long way to go, and I think they're going to beat up on each other. I think the most likely scenario is that they probably likely get one, that Big 12 champion in Arlington at the end of the year.
On 2nd down, Sorsby has a completion. It's Zion Johnson again. How about this? He's barely played. He played against this FCS opponent early in the season. This is his first work against an FBS team, and he's getting a lot of touches here on this drive.
They run a lot of man-to-man at Utah. 7, Jonathan Hall, the backer, late to get out, and a nice find there to pick up the initial first down of the night for Cincinnati.
Tawee Walker gets the carry here, makes the defender miss, keeps his feet moving and his hand on the ground with no body part other than that, and so he was still alive and picked up about 8. Protection Spotlight presented by Prudential. Keep an eye on this throughout the game.
Well, boy, it's good on good. Nobody brings more pressure than this Utah defense from Morgan Scalley, and there are a few offensive lines that have been better. Only Navy matches Cincinnati. This offensive line has exceeded expectations, done a great job all year, both in the run game and protecting Brendan Sorsby.
Faking the jet sweep, Sorsby backing up, pressure on, hoisted out of bounds. It was Leah that was in the face that time of Sorsby. 3rd down and 3.
4th and 3rd down. We have not seen Brendan Sorsby as a runner. I mentioned 6'3", 230 plus. The Good time here, at least to get him on the move and give him a run-pass option in what feels like a big third down here early.
Sorsby pitches at the last second to Covey, who gets the first down and more. And finally brought down at the 33-yard line. To gain of 19 before Smith. Snowden makes the tackle.
Well, this is so good. Watch Jackson Benny. He's going to feather this. And Brendan Sorsby waits on it to the last minute. You'll see Benny. He's going to play the quarterback, and he allows the perimeter, Covey, to get there. Perfectly timed pitch by Brendan Sorsby on that third down.
Got to respect the running ability of Sorsby. Number 2 in the Big 12 among quarterbacks in rushing yards, trailing only Dampier. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns already. And he'll lob it here and just throw it away. Covey was coming out of the backfield, was well covered by Teo Johnson down the sideline.
You will see almost exclusively man-to-man coverage or a single high safety defense. They'll play some zone. Heavy pressure, heavy man. They're physical out there on the outside with wide receivers, tight ends. Going to really challenge these pass catchers for Cincinnati all night.
Option to the other side, and that pitch was outside, but a nice catch by Covey. He gets the first down at the 22, dropped by Johnson.
With this option having some success. Watch Dillon at defensive end. He's going to take one step inside. There's nobody out there on the edge, on the perimeter. That's an easy decision there for Brendan Sorsby. And once again, the option works well. And a nice job getting Manny Covey with that speed out there outside on the perimeter.
And no Evan Pryor, their number 1 running back. And keeping it is Sorsby, and he's going to score. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Well, it's a quarterback counter, pull backside guard, and the tight end to come across, and Sorsby is going to hit this downhill. Fake the toss to Tyree Walker. It's blocked perfectly, and Brendan Sorsby puts that left foot in the ground, gets vertical north and south, and an answer from Brendan Sorsby in this Cincinnati offense.
He's now a counter for 28 touchdowns. That is second most in the country behind Fernando Mendoza of Indiana, who's at 29 after 2 touchdowns today. Sorsby started his college career at Indiana, but now in year 2 as the starting signal caller for Cincinnati and a Big 12 Player of the Year candidate.
ESPN College Football is presented by Downy Unstoppables, the laundry scent boosters that keep your clothes feisty fresh.
McAfee had his shirt off. Alex Smith was here. McAfee gave away a bunch of money. And all the fans here in Salt Lake were out early when the sun wasn't even up at 7 a.m. for college game day.
Taylor and I were out this morning. It was an unbelievable scene there. The Utah fans were up and at them, the Cincinnati fans. I didn't see you though, Dave Pash. Were you sleeping in this morning?
I was watching. I had the best seat in the house.
Hey, you got to get your beauty sleep. I understand. I get it.
7-7 game. And Utah will have it on its 25.
Which means it's time for Devin Dampier, who we heard missed last week's game with a right ankle injury. This is an injury he's been dealing with for a majority of the season. Originally injured it week 3 against Wyoming and then re-aggravated it 2 weeks ago against BYU. Coaches called him about 90% coming into tonight's game, but I will say after that opening possession, he looked pretty good. And guys, he came to the sideline. He was fired up, said to his teammates, "That's what I'm talking about. Let's go." How about the QB play early in this game?
Well, and a little change in formation with Dampier wide to the left and the direct snap to Parker, who breaks a tackle and keeps the legs driving out to the 29 for a 4-yard gain. Our impact players are brought to you by Brooks.
Well, let's start on the Utah side. We got a couple of brothers. Spencer Fano, one of the best offensive tackles in the country, and his brother Logan, the excellent defensive end. Dante Corleone, yes, the Godfather, has been at Cincinnati for a long time, a huge force in the interior of that defensive line. And Joe Royer, one of the best tight ends in the country here tonight for the Bearcats.
Dampier has a completion and a first down. And they had a touchdown earlier, Ryan Davis. Going back to what Taylor was saying about Devin Dampier. It's a guy that was a really good player in the Mountain West last year when he was at New Mexico. He led the conference in total offense. First team All Mountain West. Rushed for over 1,000 yards. But his passing, surprisingly, to a lot of people, has been really good this year. Leads the conference in completion percentage.
He's really taken a big step in the right direction as Daniel Bray takes the jet sweep. A nice pickup on first down, but it's year 2 of Jason Beck. Jason Beck was there with them in New Mexico. Offensive coordinator comes into Utah, and his quarterback comes with him, something we see more and more of in college football. So I think there's great understanding of this offense, and Jason Beck's just getting more and more comfortable. And right now, Dampier playing with great confidence as a runner and as a thrower.
Gonna hand it off to Bray, and Bray is into Cincinnati territory. Gets the first down before Harrison makes the hit. Gain of 8 on the play.
Daniel Bray, he's a true freshman, but he has got excellent speed, and his role continues to increase week over week.
He didn't play the first 4 games of the year, but they found a weapon. They line him up all over the place. Dampier, a complete pass to Davis. A gain of 9 to the 39-yard line of Cincinnati.
We mentioned the quarterback and offensive coordinator. Also coming with them, Ryan Davis. He's another one of the New Mexico players that came with coordinator and quarterback, and you can see the outstanding route running. He is the go-to guy for this offense. Number 2 in the Big 12 coming into tonight with 48 catches on the season. We've already seen him with 3 and a touchdown here early.
Utah brings in an extra offensive lineman, Solatoa Moiai, for his second down and short play. Dampier off play action, lobs it down the seam, and it's knocked away by Sanks. Incomplete, intended for Bentley. Utah fans want a flag, but no laundry on that play.
But Jaquan Sanks, he's gonna retreat at just the right time. Initially, he takes that one step forward, but he gets back and he gets in decent position, doesn't make contact, and that ball hits him in the back of the shoulder pads. A little bit of contact before it got there, but it doesn't draw the flag. He was beat initially and recovered there late.
Might be Ford on territory. They've got Parker in as the Wildcat quarterback. He fakes it to Dampier, the quarterback, and keeping it is Parker, breaking the tackle. Parker into the end zone. Touchdown, Utah. That's where we are in college football in 2025. You got a running back lined up at quarterback, faking the handoff to a quarterback coming in motion, and then taking it himself all the way for a touchdown. Great creativity by Jason Beck and the Utah offensive staff. A 39-yard touchdown run by Parker. And Curtis makes it 14-7 Utes.
Well, you described it perfectly. Let's take a look at it. It's excellent blocking. How about Togiai? The offensive guard's going to come back, and they call it the Rhino position. It's going to be 49. Moiai is going to get up to the second level, and we're going to see Wayshawn Parker hit this downhill. Got great flow with the way he runs, and excellent speed in the open field, and the Utes back on top.
Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week. Look at that. Cincinnati already giving up more points in the first quarter tonight than it had all season coming in. 2 explosive plays for Utah. 39-yard touchdown run, 34-yard touchdown pass, and a 14-7 lead. After the touchback, we will check in with Matt Berry in the studio.
Gentlemen, good evening. Happy week 10 of the college football season. Your AT&T studio update for tonight from Xavier Robinson for Oklahoma. Takes it in for his 4th touchdown of the night. Right now, Boomer up 26-17. And NC State has just knocked off Georgia Tech 48-36.
3 top 10 teams losing today, with Miami and Vanderbilt also going down.
The calendar changed in November, and we know college football gets wild this time of the season. A lot of moving and shaking. They're inside the top 10 here on November the 1st.
See if Brendan Sorsby can get going. Just 1 of 5 passing. He had 2 knockdowns on the opening possession. He'll hand it off here, and there's room straight ahead. Tawee Walker gets a first down and a gain of 11.
Well, this has been a very good rushing attack for Cincinnati this season. They're coming off their best game. They ran for 265 a week ago against Baylor. And Tawee Walker, former honorable mention All Big Ten at Wisconsin. Nice job on the cutback on that zone run.
Sorsby flipping it downfield and throws it out of bounds. Trying to hit Goody. Johnson had him covered, though, and so it'll be 2nd down. Sorsby from Lake Dallas, Texas, was lightly recruited. Abilene Christian was the only school that showed interest early on. He started out at Indiana, was there for a couple of years, started 7 games, and now in his 2nd year starting for Cincinnati. He'll hand it off. Walker again, room past midfield, inside the 30, and finally chopped to the ground inside the 25. A gain of 40 on the ground.
Well, inside, watch the movement with the zone running attack, and you'll see Tawee Walker right off at the left guard. Tay Gestahall, and then Gerhardt, the center. Really nice job getting on a body. You see that quality running by Tawee Walker. He is a load to bring down, Dave. He's 5'8", close to 220, but nice vision and a cutback on that explosive run.
Utah with 94 rushing yards. Cincinnati with 119, and we played just 1 quarter in what it looks like will be a shootout in Salt Lake City tonight. 14-7 Utes in this battle of ranked teams under the lights. Big 12 after dark. Back in Salt Lake moments ago, Taylor with Kyle Whittingham.
Coach, they've been able to put up some explosive run plays. What's the key to stopping their rushing attack?
Gap control. We're losing some gaps. We didn't spill correctly one time. Soft on the perimeter. Speed option. We're not getting to the back. They're getting the tackle up on us, and so we just got to be better on defense. Offense is fine. 2 scores and 2 drives, but we got to settle in on defense and get a stop.
Thank you, Coach. Dave?
Well, right on cue with Chance Williams bottled up at the point of attack by Jonah Leah for no gain on the play. Sorsby has a touchdown run for Cincinnati. Walker had a 41-yard run to put the Bearcats in this position. Actually lose a yard on that first down play, and now Sorsby throwing, and it's incomplete. Again, thrown out of bounds. We've seen 2 or 3 passes where Sorsby didn't even give his receiver a chance. That time he was trying to hit Caldwell.
Yeah, he's been off the mark. Slow start for Brendan Sorsby. Just 1 of 7. Good tight coverage all over the field once again by this Utah defense. Cyrus Allen, their go-to guy.
Utah 10th in the country in sacks, and here they come. Sorsby gets the pass away, but the receiver went a different way than the football did. The receiver, Caleb Goody, cut off his route, and you can see Sorsby's not happy.
With complete miscommunication here outside. He was expecting Goody to run a corner. He runs an in-cutting route. And yet another incompletion for Brendan Sorsby, just 1 of 8 to start tonight.
Steven Rusnak, 11 of 11 this year, 22 straight makes. The last time he missed a field goal was when he was at Michigan State 4 years ago. 41-yard attempt. No go. The announcer jinx coming into play as Rusnak misses for the first time since 2021.
Great hold there by Utah after Really nice running we saw on consecutive plays there from Tyree Walker. They get the stop. And then the Rusnak miss. The very rare Rusnak miss. Pushed it out to the left, and it never came back. The outstanding kicker.
So they waste that huge run by Walker of 41 yards to get them inside the 25-yard line. We look at the reaction of Scott Satterfield in his 3rd year as the head man at Cincinnati.
This defense is going to have to settle down now. I mean, these first 2 drives, Utah has had their way, and they've been very balanced, both with the run, the pass. They've run it for 94, they've thrown it for 80, and just really have Cincinnati on their heels.
Dampier lining up at quarterback and hands it off to Rodgers. Picks up about 3 on the play. Dante Corleone on the stop for Cincinnati. 3-time captain. Nose tackle for the Bearcats. First team all Big 12 a year ago.
He's a key force on the interior. He's a massive man at 335. So strong at the point of attack. Been banged up nursing an ankle. He was healthy last week. They need him to be impactful on the interior.
Dampier throwing, and it's caught. At the 32-yard line is Bentley. They'll mark him at the 33. Short by a yard of a first down.
We've seen in these short yardage situations already. Wayshawn Parker line up as a Wildcat quarterback. We've also seen Nakari Rodgers in the Wildcat as well. Dampier is going to be back there as a quarterback in this spot, though. We touched on all night, a very elusive runner.
He'll keep it himself, finds a running lane, picks up a first down out past the 40. We continue to see Solatoa Moiai in there as an extra offensive lineman.
You'll see the defensive end, Micah Coleman, just get straight up the field. The hesitation by Dampier, and easily converts on that 3rd and short.
Dampier was the Big 12 preseason newcomer of the year. Rodgers gets the carry. He gets drilled at the 43-yard line and stood up. They'll blow it dead after a 3-yard pickup. That was Jonathan Thompson in there along with Pete. Thompson shaken up. He'll come to the sideline.
Also Jake Golday in there. The senior linebacker is having just an outstanding year. One of the best linebackers in the Big 12 so far. You need him to continue to pick it up. Good as a pass rusher, and he's been stout against the run all season.
Dampier on 2nd down, firing it deep, and throw it out of bounds. Going for J.J. Buchanan. Logan Wilson is in his 7th year of college football, had the coverage. It brings up 3rd and 7.
Well, so far tonight, these 3rd down situations, we've seen Dampier as a runner, and we've also seen him find 9, Ryan Davis.
3 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown for Davis so far. He's got 51 catches on the year, 2nd most in the Big 12. They operate out of an empty set, and Dampier throws a bullet that's incomplete. Intended for Simmons, and Arnold had coverage that time for Cincinnati. 4th down.
What's excellent coverage here by Armani Arnold. Just right there in the hip pocket of Larry Simmons. A little handsy outside, but trying to throw the back shoulder, and Cincinnati finally comes up with a big stop.
Yep, first punt for Orion Phillips. Utah faked a punt last week. Phillips threw a completion on the play. So Cincinnati has to be aware of that on 4th down and 7. And Phillips just got it away. They came after it. And it sails out of bounds around the 25-yard line. Back to Salt Lake in a moment. 14-7 home team. Late night Big 12 edition of Dusty's Defensive Dudes.
So let's start on the Cincinnati side. We've already said his name and talked about him. Jake Golday has been sensational. Great size, 6'4", 240, runs well, a rusher, excellent tackler, 7 tackles already here tonight. And one of the best pass rushers, most productive defensive ends in the country. It's John Henry Daly. Really good with his hands, bends the tight edge, and the timing on his pass rush is pristine.
Cincinnati back on offense. Pressure on Sorsby. And Sorsby has a completion. Great throw to Goody for a first down. You mentioned John Henry Daly. With more on his story, let's check in with Taylor.
An incredible football player, but I will tell you, he draws his inspiration from his younger 20-year-old brother named Mason. Mason has special needs, and earlier this year he was diagnosed with lymphoma. So for the last few weeks, few months, he's been battling chemo. And on Thursday, while I was interviewing John Henry,
Allen with a catch down to the 30-yard line. First down, Cincinnati.
While I was interviewing John Henry, I did get the news that Mason underwent his final round of chemotherapy. So, Mason, we're thinking about you, and we hope that you are declared cancer-free in just a few minutes or a few months, and your brother definitely draws inspiration from you.
All right, Taylor, and certainly at this point, Utah needs some pressure from Daly. Sorsby starting to get into a rhythm. Back-to-back completions. He had just one completion all game. And a whistle, there was some movement before the snap. Gain of 45 yards, Sorsby to Allen to put him in this position at the 19-yard line.
Full start. Defense, number 50. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Tangastal, the left guard, first-year starter, the guilty man, 1st and 15.
How about the touch on this pass from Brendan Sorsby to Cyrus Allen? Puts it perfectly where it needs to be, over the shoulder. An explosive play via the air, finally, for the Cincinnati offense. Before this drive started, just one completion to a running back. We've now seen multiple passes. The first on the move to Goody, and then that dime delivered there to Allen.
They run the option again. Sorsby keeps it, faking the pitch to Walker. He fumbles the ball. And recovered by Utah. And officials are having a conversation here.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. It'll be first down, Utah.
And Dave, I don't think he's down. 7, Jonathan Hall comes in from the backside, uses that right hand and punches this ball out before it looks like Sorsby goes to the ground. That is precise there by Jonathan Hall. Right on the football. It's on the ground. And just the first fumble loss on the season by the Cincinnati quarterback. And only a second turnover since the second turnover on the year. First since that opener interception, the final possession against Nebraska.
Ea with the recovery. That ball was out. It's a turnover. So a missed field goal inside the 25, and now a lost fumble. Dampier, everybody covered. So he takes off. Spins away from a defender. And then finally scoots out of play. Was able to elude Brian Sims III and get positive yardage.
Boy, he is elusive. Whoop! Just hit the brakes. And the defender is going to fly right by. Good pursuit there from Brian Sims III, but an even better counter by Dampier. Hitting the brakes and hitting the spin move. Little B button there from Dampier, Dave.
He had a gain of 5 on the play. Dampier running again. He gets drilled. Sims got him back. He came in with the big hit. And a 1-yard gain. 3rd down.
Really well timed there by Brian Sims. Lowers the shoulder and drops the boom on Dampier. 3rd and short in a ideal situation for this Utah offense. So good running the football. Their big back, 21. Nakari Rogers entered the game. That offensive line, I'd expect them to keep it on the ground here.
1 for 3 on 3rd down for Cincinnati. 3 of 6 for Utah. A couple of 4th down conversions for Utah on its opening touchdown drive. Dampier with a blocker gets a first down past the 30. And Rogers, the running back, in front, blocking for him. Golday on the tackle, but after the chains are moved.
Well, it's a really good job. Watch, you're going to pull this tackle out here, and he's going to do a good job helping set the edge for Dampier on the outside. Lomu, another excellent offensive tackle. We've touched on Stefano, 55, but also 71. It's probably the best offensive tackle tandem in college football.
Play action pass. Dampier hit as he throws over the middle deep. And it's knocked away at the last second, incomplete. Xavier Williams breaks up the pass intended for Jackson Benny. And pressure by Golday in the face of Dampier.
Well, Benny had a step. This ball underthrown. And that contact gets there a little bit early from Xavier Williams, but doesn't draw a flag, Dave. Benny had about 3 steps. That ball, if it's thrown on time, it's a walk-in touchdown. Give Williams credit for making up the ground and getting in there for the pass breakup.
Dampier throwing again. It was high but caught. Ryan Davis pulled it in at the 38 before he went out of bounds. Gain of 6, 3rd down, and Davis is shaken up. Coming into today, he had 25 more catches than any other receiver, wide receiver, on the Utah roster. So obviously the Utes hoping Davis is all right, and looks to be just that. He'll have to sit out for this play, though. 3rd down and 4, midway point of the 2nd quarter. A lot of offense in the 1st quarter, a lot of mistakes here in the 2nd. Dampier going for Gray, and he breaks a tackle, keeps his balance. Finally shut down at the 40-yard line of Cincinnati. A pickup of 22.
Well, Daniel Gray's going to be out of the backfield. He's just going to go to the flats, and it's an easy throw as the corner late to react and then unable to get Bray on the ground. That's a missed tackle on the edge by Arnold, and outstanding yards after the catch for Bray.
Dampier, 113 passing yards, 41 rushing yards. Again, didn't start last week because of an injury. Back to throw here, taking another deep shot. It's underthrown and the flag comes down. It was intended for Buchanan. It was incomplete. Daniel James in coverage grabbed the tight end and dropped him before the ball arrived.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 25. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Well, J.J. Buchanan, he's a tight end, but he also flexes out wide. You'll see 25, Daniel James. I mean, there's a lot of pushing and shoving, way too much contact. Kind of wraps up Buchanan. Seen some contact early. That way too much contact and an easy call on the pass interference.
2nd penalty on Cincinnati from the 26 of the Bearcats. Wayshawn Parker tries to cut it back and wrestle to the ground. Initial hit made by Burns. A couple of other defenders had to come in, though, to clean it up. Wayshawn Parker had a 39-yard touchdown run earlier in the game. Utah looking to add to a 7-point lead. Try to keep Big 12 title hopes alive. You got 2 teams unbeaten in the conference at Cincinnati and BYU. Texas Tech with 1 loss, a handful of teams with 2 losses. Got to think a 3rd would pretty much eliminate them from contention for the Big 12 title. Parker down to the 20-yard line. Gain of 5, 3rd down.
Big personnel in the game. The Rhino, Dave Moei. Backup right guard, they bring him in. It's part of Jason Beck's offense. You'll see a lot of 6 offensive linemen in the game. No, he wears 49. He's just an additional offensive lineman. They run right behind Big 49 for a nice pickup, and here it is over off the right side here.
And they'll run that way. Parker going to be close. Brought down right at the line to gain. Gola Collard on the hit. It's a 1st down. Well, we've seen a ton of occasions in this 1st half where the ball is literally right on the line to gain. And for Utah, it continues to be 1st down, enough to move the chains. Did have that 4th down in inches on the opening drive, but Kyle Whittingham went for it inside his own 40, got it, and then they ended up scoring. They've got Parker lined up as the Wildcat quarterback. And he can't find room this time. Only a 1-yard run. Ormani Arnold on the stop. Micah Coleman also in there for Cincinnati. Got to take advantage of the Sorsby turnover. The first by Sorsby since the opening game when he threw a pick the last play in a loss to Nebraska. Dampier looking downfield. Everybody covered, backing up, being chased, and he throws it away. Antoine Peak Jr. had the pressure.
Was excellent coverage down the field. Dampier trying to buy as much time as he could, but nothing going to come open. Just blanket coverage everywhere. Dampier's going to look, and he waits as long as he can. Coverage everywhere. Really well done here by Cincinnati. Set up this 3rd and long situation.
From the 15-yard line of Cincinnati. And they go empty here with Dampier. He'll throw a fade into the end zone, and it is caught, but out of bounds. Creed Whittemore, with only 2 catches on the year, could not get a foot down, and so it's 4th down.
Well, this was close. Whittemore gets his right hand on him. This ball hits the ground. And Cincinnati gets the stop and forces the field goal attempt here from Utah.
A much needed stop for Cincinnati after the missed field goal by the Bearcats and the turnover. And now Dylan Curtis, who was 8 of 12 on the season, will attempt a 33-yard field goal to extend the lead. The snap wasn't great, but the kick is good. Phillips got the ball down the holder, and Curtis puts it through to make it 17-7 Utes. It's about 12 hours since College Game Day finished up here in Salt Lake City, the 6th time that it's been in Utah for a Ute game, and Taylor McGregor was there as well.
We're here at College Game Day. We came to find out how much the Utah Utes know about their opponent. What state is Cincinnati in?
To be as a program and then you challenge me.
What is Cincinnati's mascot?
A bear count, whatever that is.
What time did you wake up this morning?
Oh, I didn't sleep. I've been up for 24 hours. 24 hours.
So the part we didn't add is how many of the interviewees knew how to spell Cincinnati. Do you have a wild guess?
Well, I'm guessing the one that had stayed up 12 straight hours did not get it correct, because I'm guessing now it's 24 straight hours she's been out.
Yeah, most didn't. We interviewed more than we showed there, so let's say it was about 6. 5 out of the 6 had no clue.
Can you spell Cincinnati?
I can.
Just making sure.
Cincinnati.
It's on the screen, but it's all right. We knew you knew it anyway.
Well done, Tim.
I'm not looking at the screen like you, Dave.
It was a great scene there this morning for College Game Day. Boy, Game Day always delivers, and the Utah fans delivered as well.
I think we had a shirtless Pat at the start and the end of the telecast today, as Walker is swallowed by Holtzclaw on 1st down. No gain on the play. Boy, they rotate all these D linemen. They're 10th in the country in sacks and 9th in points allowed. They give up 14 per game. That's Morgan Scally, who's in his 10th year as the D coordinator. He's the head coach in waiting. Sorsby with the back shoulder throw, and it's broken up, incomplete. Jennings the intended target, and Blake Cotton made the play defensively. Here's Matt Berry. Check that, Kevin Connors.
All right, Dave, your Capital One rewarding performance turned in by Duke Scott. Trevor Maddich, 196 yards on the ground.
He's the backup to the injured Hollywood Smothers, and all he did was outrush the entire Georgia Tech team.
And an upset win for the Wolfpack, Dave. We're down to 4 unbeatens in college football.
Yeah, Kevin, 3 top 10 teams knocked off today, including Miami and Vandy. On 3rd down and 10, over the middle, incomplete pass. It almost ricocheted to the defender Hall for an interception. And it was Scooby Davis in coverage. The pass intended for Allen, 4th down.
Boy, the coverage just so tight everywhere with this Utah defense. Scooby Davis going to be right in the hip pocket here of Cyrus Allen. Gets that right hand here at the last second. Another pass breakup. But it's tough sledding against this defense.
Carvalho is the deep man. And he makes the fair catch at the 30-yard line. Utah by 10 scored 2 touchdowns on its first 2 possessions. Both plays went for 30-plus yards. And Brendan Sorsby does have a touchdown run, but he struggled passing and he lost a fumble. Also a missed field goal for Cincinnati.
2 things this team has not done this year. Missed field goals and the quarterback turned the ball over. That is not a recipe for success on the road against this good Utah football team.
Bray gets the handoff, and he gets drilled by Gola Kallard after a 5-yard gain. Kyle Whittingham, year 21 as the head coach, 31 overall, including a decade as an assistant at Utah. Second longest tenured coach in FBS behind Kirk Ferentz. And it feels like, if you look at the fact that 10 FBS coaches have been fired already this season, that days like this are long past. We're not going to see guys stay in 2 decades or more at one particular school going forward. As Parker hands it off to Dampier, who's going to throw it downfield, and it's caught by Davis. Tackled at the 19-yard line of Cincinnati, a gain of 45.
Wow, a little trickeration here. They're going to sneak Davis out the outside, and you're going to see right here Dampier, the motion man, to hand him the football, and an absolutely perfectly placed pass here down the field to Ryan Davis. Can't throw it any better than that.
And now penalty marker down.
Ball start. Offense, number 52. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Do you agree, Dusty, going back to Whittingham, about days of a coach being at the same school for 20-plus years, that we'll ever see this again?
I mean, we might see it again. I think it's just going to be very rare. I mean, it's tough. The pressure that's on these coaches to produce and to sustain it consistently over the amount of time, like we've seen from Kyle Whittingham. Kirk Ferentz still going strong at Iowa. Mike Gundy started the same year as Kyle Whittingham, and he's already been let go this season.
As Parker breaks a tackle, tries to bust it to the outside, and still going before he's finally brought down by Logan Wilson. Well, he earned every bit of that 1 yard that Wayshawn Parker just picked up.
6 yards because they, you know, 5-yard penalty, but man, just physical, tough running. How about the contact balance after that initial hit? And he continues to fight through the arm tackles of Cincinnati. Just an excellent run by Wayshawn Parker.
That'll take us to the 2-minute timeout. Utah looking to go up 17 at halftime. 2nd and 9 when we come back.
Don't want to miss an upset? Just tell Siri, show me the college football schedule.
And show me the college football rankings, brought to you by Chick-fil-A, because this is where the upsets are. Miami losing at SMU, Vanderbilt losing at Texas, if you call that an upset, and Georgia Tech knocked off by NC State. And Utah, which is ranked lower than Cincinnati, although was favored in this game, as Bray was tackled by Peak, but there was a flag and likely a face mask at the 15-yard line, which would give Utah first down. Keep in mind the Utes will get the ball to start the second half as they look to add to their 10-point lead here late in the second quarter.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 5. Half the distance from the end of the run, automatic first down.
Christian Harris used that right hand. It's barely, you couldn't tell if that was the face mask, that was his jersey, but it draws the flag, and the poor tackling continues here for Cincinnati in this first half, Dave.
Moei will check in. Otuapuaka A defensive lineman will come in as a extra blocker. He's lined up at fullback. First down and goal from the 5-yard line. Rodgers dragging a defender, and finally Peak is able to get him to the ground after the 3-yard run. 2nd and goal.
But there is a lot of beef on that line of scrimmage, Mr. Pash. Big personnel in.
First charge timeout, Cincinnati.
This smart timeout by Cincinnati. Look, they know they've got to put points on the board here before half, regardless if they keep Utah out, force a field goal, or whatever happens in this scenario. Utah gets the ball to start the second half. And so this is smart by Satterfield, at least give his quarterback and his offense the football one more time here in this first half.
And other than really one drive, Cincinnati could not have played worse offensively. Sorsby has struggled to throw the ball. They have been able to run it. But again, most of the rushing yards they have came on that one drive where they scored. As we look at the mentioned the Lexus halftime report coming up with Kevin Connors and Trevor Maddich. They'll have all the highlights of those upsets today in college football. Any one of those upsets stick out more than the other to you?
Yeah, I think the Miami losing a second time. We were there for the Louisville loss, and Louisville, I thought that might have woke Miami up. I think the reality is maybe just Miami isn't as good as everybody thought they were. Now their second loss in 3 weeks. That's a heck of a win for Ed Lashley and SMU at home. First top 10 victory since the 70s for that program, but I think that one stands out as much as anything, Dave.
Motu Apuaka on it, fullback again. Cincinnati jumped. There wasn't contact, and now they do throw the flag. The Utah offense was saying, yeah, Corleone made contact, and therefore should be an offside penalty, which would move it about 9 inches.
Offside. Defense with contact. Number 2, half the distance to the goal. 2nd down.
So the ball be spotted right at the 1-yard line.
Scott Satterfield, he's got to be frustrated overall. They felt really good about where they were coming into this game. We talked to him before the game, and they thought his team was going to show up and play well, and they just have another jump there on the defensive line from Cincinnati.
But this time no contact, so no flag. Dampier will give to Rodgers, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Utah.
Talk about the big bodies on the right side. Look at this bunch, and they're just going to follow right off the right side of this offensive line. And you see the power by Rodgers. He's met right there at the goal line by Antoine Peak Jr., but no denying Nakari Rodgers from the end zone.
They're looking at the video just to make sure that Rodgers got in the end zone for his 8th rushing touchdown of the season. Utah with 315 yards of offense, 156 on the ground. Parker with 74 and a touchdown. Now Rodgers with a touchdown, and Curtis on for the point after. It is 24-7. Now Cincinnati has 2 timeouts and a minute 19 to work with when he gets the ball back. Let's go down to Taylor.
But Dave, some important note here. Spencer Fano on that last drive was helped off the field by trainers, went straight into the tent. So this is one of the best offensive linemen in the country, a huge piece of this offense. Starting right tackle number 55, currently in the tent. We'll get more information at halftime, keep you updated.
And he, along with all of those guys up front for Utah, had a tremendous first half.
Fano, Mel Kiper has his #1 offensive tackle, and that entire offensive line has been great. He's a captain, he's a leader. Coaches talked to us about his personality and the juice and energy he brings to this football team. Definitely something to monitor here throughout the course of this game.
Curtis will kick it deep to Matthew McDoom, who has just one return on the season. It's been touchbacks galore so far here in the first half. And once again, a touchback.
We came in and he was one of the most productive players in the country coming into the night. 27 touchdowns accounted for, 3 of 12. Some overthrows down the field. I want to credit the excellent coverage down the field and all over the place from Utah. But Sorsby has been just a little bit off. Here, miscommunication with him and his wide receiver. We touched on this earlier. Jonathan Hall, the linebacker, Utah, punches this ball out. First lost fumble of the season for the Cincinnati quarterback. And I think it's an important drive here before half, Dave, that they can get something going and try to steal some points going into halftime.
He's actually completed his last 2 passes. And that one's tipped into the air and picked off. Intercepted by Snowden. Then he loses the ball. A battle for it inside the 5-yard line. No signal yet as to who got it. First interception of the year for Snowden. Third batted ball in this game by Utah. Snowden then fumbles it forward. And Cincinnati comes up with the football. Caleb Goody tracks it down inside the 5 to avoid disaster.
And I think this one, Dave, goes off the right tackle, DeAndre Buford. As Sorsby throws this football, he's going to hit the big right tackle right in the helmet. Ball pops up and picked off, and then Cincinnati very fortunate. That ball comes out, and they are able to get on top of it inside their own 5.
That was Cyrus Allen. Forced a fumble. I mean, they go in there and score, or they get possession and eventually score. 31-7 at half, and getting the ball back. So for now, Cincinnati averts disaster, but they're backed up on their 2-yard line with a fresh set of downs. First pick for Sorsby since the first game against Nebraska. They'll run Walker, try to give Cincinnati some breathing room, and he gets about 5 yards.
Now does Utah use some of its timeouts?
They will. Clock stop with 47 seconds left. So 2 timeouts left for Utah. Take a look at our SEC on ABC schedule next week, 3:30 Eastern time. Texas A&M, ranked 3rd in the country, will be on the road to take on Missouri. And after Brian Kelly's firing, LSU will head to Tuscaloosa to take on 4th-ranked Alabama.
Be intrigued to see how LSU comes out in that game. Both Alabama and LSU will be coming off a bye. We saw Florida today coming off a bye after Billy Napier was let go. They pushed Georgia to the brink to the very end of that game. Additionally, that LSU-Alabama game over the last 20 years have been very, very good. Will be any kind of spark from that Tigers team now that they've made the move on for Brian Kelly.
51 seconds left. 2nd down and 6. Another run play. Walker to the 10. And Utah will call another timeout, stopping the clock with 42 seconds left. Though the clock is still running, they'll have to add time back on the clock. It finally stopped at 38, but they should add about 5 seconds onto the clock. Well, we knew this was going to be a challenge for Cincinnati, but the Bearcats have not helped themselves at all.
No, they haven't. I mean, 2 turnovers here already. Obviously, the second one, they're able to get back, but the offensive passing game has just not been there for Brendan Sorsby. Credit this Utah defense, but they've also been their own worst enemy. Mistakes, missed field goal, just not going to be conducive of success. And with the Cincinnati defense, the other side of this, Utah has pretty much done whatever they wanted to when they've had the ball offensively.
It's not an understatement to say that Brendan Sorsby has played as well as anybody in the country coming into this game. But 3 for 13 with a lost fumble and a pick in the first half. Maybe his biggest stage yet at Cincinnati. And now 3rd and 3. They did put time back on the clock. 47 seconds left. Utah still has a timeout if Cincinnati just runs the ball and doesn't get a first down. Sorsby slings it in traffic, but it's caught by Jennings. A first down. Clock stops to move the chains. Now it starts on the ready for play. Sorsby off play action. And again goes for Jennings. Brought down to the 28-yard line. Now a timeout taken. 30 seconds left.
A couple of good confident throws there by Brendan Sorsby on back-to-back plays as he locates Jennings. Anything you can build off of here to close out in this first half will be important heading into halftime for Brendan Sorsby.
So Cincinnati takes the timeout. One left for the Bearcats, one left for Utah. Again, you got Cincinnati and BYU both at 5-0 in Big 12 play. Only 7 unbeatens left in conference play in the Power Four. Cincinnati and BYU were 2 of those. BYU will be at Texas Tech next week. College Game Day will be there. So second straight week the Big 12 gets a visit from College Game Day. That's a noon Eastern start.
I thought that was a very impressive win today by Texas Tech, going on the road into Manhattan. That was a Kansas State team that had been playing pretty well as of late, and Tech goes in there and wins convincingly. Tech's already coming here and beaten Utah 34-10 this season. Their only loss coming on the road to Arizona State, but their quarterback Baron Morton was not healthy for that game. BYU obviously the other team to beat Utah when Utah went on the road to Provo. It's going to be a great matchup in Lubbock next weekend.
Sorsby, dangerous pass, and upended is Covey by Snowden, who had the interception earlier. And now the clock stopped with 27 seconds left, and it's 3rd down and 2.
With Smith Snowden just going to come up in Manny Covey. The pressure was coming off the edge. The ball had to come out quick. And supreme defense by Utah here once again.
You mentioned it earlier. There is not a lot of airspace between the receivers and defensive backs for Utah. Hard for Sorsby to get receivers open. The receiver wide open here, though, and it's a first down catch by Caldwell. Clock will stop to reset the chains with 20 seconds to go. And Cincinnati about 25 yards away from field goal range.
Officials timeout for an injured player of the defense.
And it's John Henry Daly who's shaken up, leading Utah in sacks, 3rd in the country with 9.5. Neither team with a sack in this game, but there has been some pressure on Sorsby, but the coverage outstanding on the back end.
And there's just these receivers have not created much separation throughout the course of the night. You couple that with Brendan Sorsby being just a little bit off and the timing off with his wide receivers. It's been an abysmal 6-17 start, but Brendan Sorsby showing some life here, Dave, on this final drive of the first half.
Clock starting on the ready for play. Sorsby, long throw, and getting out of bounds after the catch is good. No, they say that he stayed in. And a timeout taken by Scott Satterfield with 8 seconds left. That's his last timeout. They still need about 12 to 15 more yards to give Steven Rusnak a chance. Rusnak's long this season is 46 yards.
0-1-0.
They're going to put 2 seconds back on the clock. Rusnak has made a 54-yarder in his career, but still you got to get about 15 more yards for that to be a reality.
You mentioned the long throw. That was a strong throw there from Brendan Sorsby. As good he tried to get out of bounds. Probably as good as we've seen him outside of the deep Cyrus Allen pass throwing the football, especially in the intermediate game. Far hash all the way outside the numbers. Nice job plucking that by Goody. Well, he was close to getting out of bounds.
Yeah, surprised they said that he was inbounds there and ran the clock.
We're told by Scott Satterfield that 58-59 is triable. So you need to get here about 10 yards to even give yourself a chance and try to get out of bounds.
with only 10 seconds to go. Utah brings pressure. Sorsby taking a shot, and he throws it out of bounds again. Intended for Caldwell, who gets caught up in the kicking net. That is the 5th pass by Sorsby in this game that's been thrown out of play.
And this ball just sails on him. And this is Caldwell at 6'5", and he's got to step down the field on Blake Cotton, and that ball just continues to sail out of bounds. Caldwell unable to bring that in.
4 seconds left. It's Hail Mary time for Cincinnati, down 17. And again, Utah will get the ball to start the second half. Everybody back for Utah. Sorsby just going to dump it off to Covey across the middle. He will not try to pitch it, and he's tackled, and the half comes to an end. Terrific opening half for Utah. A 17-point lead over number 17. Second consecutive dominant first half by the Utah offense. Taylor is standing by with Cincinnati coach Scott Satterfield.
Thank you, Coach. Sorsby looked like he got into more of a rhythm on that final drive, but still 2 turnovers for him. How do you get him into a rhythm in the second half?
Yeah, we just got to find some ways to get some throws in there. You know, they're playing some tight coverage and bringing a lot of pressure. We have not gotten on any rhythm right there, and defensively, we got to get off the field.
Thank you, Coach. Dave?
Yeah, the defense gave up 315 yards, Taylor, in that first half. 24-7 Utah. 1 half to go here in Salt Lake City as we send you now to Kevin Connors and Trevor Maddich in the Lexus halftime.
You're watching the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Downey Unstoppables. From beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah, you're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. And it was all Utah in that first half, 24-7 over Cincinnati in this matchup of top 25 teams. Rice Eccles Stadium. Dave Pasch and Dusty Dvorak with you. Taylor McGregor down on the field. Coming into today, Cincinnati starting to look like a Big 12 title contender, college football playoff contender. They did not know in the first half.
No, they didn't. Their best player, Brendan Sorsby, struggled mightily in that first half. 2 turnovers in the first half, and really good defense by Utah in the back end, really negated this passing attack. On the flip side, Utah had their way with Cincinnati. Their offense moved the football up and down the field, had great balance running it, throwing it. In this second half, Cincinnati's going to have to find a way to play better defense, get a stop, and get their star quarterback going.
Utah will get the ball to start the second half, and they will have it on their 25 after the touchback. Tonight's Player Spotlight brought to you by Royal Caribbean.
But it's the rushing attack of this Utah offense early on. A big, crucial conversion. And you see the strength and the power from Devin Dampier. Here's the speedy, true freshman Daniel Bray on end around. And how about Wayshawn Parker? His big 39-yard touchdown run. Excellent blocking up front. He's got the patience and the ability to make Cincinnati defenders miss as he takes it to the house. And once again, a change here. Who's taking the snap for Utah?
Yeah, it's Wayshawn Parker. He had a touchdown run lined up at Wildcat in the first half, but he's bottled up here for a loss of 1 by Jonathan Thompson, who's checking with Taylor.
Dave, Coach Whittingham came up to me. He had a huge smile on his face because the Dodgers won the World Series. Yes, he's a Yankee fan, but he found out at halftime that the Dodgers won. He was fired up about that. Also fired up about his defense. Not quite pleased after the first quarter, but he said in the second quarter, the secondary did a really good job against the deep ball. That has to continue. He also told me that John Henry Daly and Spencer Fanu will both be available here in the second half.
Going back to your baseball point, the Dodgers' first back-to-back champs since the Yankees back in '98 to 2000. Whittingham, a huge baseball guy.
Defense, 4. Activating the neutral zone, causing the offside penalty, first down.
That was interesting when we talked with Coach Whittingham yesterday as he professed his love for baseball. Said he grew up and he wanted to be an outfielder for the New York Yankees, and started talking baseball in the meeting. And well, he knows his baseball. He wasn't messing around. We say he's been to 25 Yankees games.
Dampier throwing here, and it's caught, and it's a first down. Ryan Davis Out to the 43. It's a gain of 14 yards. That's the 6th catch. Davis is well over 100 receiving yards on the night.
Well, Christian Harrison playing at safety, giving a lot of cushion, and it's good identification by Davis. Sets that right route down. And another good find once again by Devin Dampier. That's been the connection of the night. Now 6 catches for 118 yards for Ryan Davis.
They bring in Bird Ficklin, the true freshman quarterback who started last week when Dampier was hurt. Dampier at the top of your screen. You see him backing up there. And this might be a double pass. Dampier in trouble. And he flips it downfield, incomplete. See the official with the hat off, so somebody went out of bounds. Bentley, the intended target.
Well, we got to give Jason Beck, the offensive coordinator, a ton of credit. His first year here at Utah, the offense really struggled a year ago, and Kyle Whittingham wanted creativity. Was the first thing he told us, and an offensive coordinator. Boy, are we seeing creativity here tonight. This is a completely revamped offense. The way they run it, they throw it, the creativity been off the charts here tonight.
Good Cincinnati defense that has not looked at in this game. Another chunk play on the ground. It's Parker. And he picks up 19.
Well, just good blocking at the point. We're going to see a little down and around action here. And they're going to hit this once again downhill. Big 49 at Rhino position. Moei, Spencer Fano. Just continue to pound the rock, and Wayshawn Parker well on his way to a 100-yard night.
And Parker over 600 yards on the season. He had just over 700 yards all of last year when he was at Washington State. He takes the snap here. Tries to get to the outside, but Golday wraps him up. Gain of a yard or 2. Only 1 punt in this game for Utah.
They need to find a way to come up with a stop drop this drive. Good to see Golday set that edge. Good strong hands. He shucks the offensive lineman and makes that tackle for very minimal gain.
Utah trying to keep hopes alive of a Big 12 championship. They've got 2 losses. Cincinnati and BYU were both unbeaten. Texas Tech with 1 loss, and then a bunch of teams with 2. BYU plays Texas Tech next week. Game day will be there. Parker, and he gets drilled at the 40-yard line. Coleman with the initial hit. The cleanup by Gola Collard. It'll bring up 3rd and long.
Really good there by Gola Collard, flying down from that safety position, delivering a good blow. Back-to-back good tackling. The tackling was porous in the first half for Cincinnati. Better tackling on these last 2 plays to set up this 3rd and long situation.
Bringing an extra offensive lineman, even though it's 3rd down and 10. Dampier with a quick throw out in space to Bray. And he's finally brought down. He broke the initial tackle attempt by Harrison, but then Golday got under the ground. And it's 4th down and 10. Bray shaken up. And he has been targeted often as a receiver and also been running the ball 6 carries.
Well, here's Christian Harrison going to fly down from this safety spot. He gets the initial contact on Bray and gets it up. And then it's Golday, 2nd man to show up to help get him on the ground and force this punt.
They had to have that stop, Cincinnati, and they got it. And now Orion Phillips will try to pin the Bearcats deep in their own end. Covey is standing back at his 8-yard line. Phillips' 2nd punt of the game. And the fair catch made around the 12-yard line by Luca Caldarella. Can Sorsby pick it up? 2 turnovers in the first half, more than he had all season coming in. For 20 years, Allstate has celebrated every field goal and extra point made at participating universities by donating to the university's athletic scholarship fund, supporting all student athletes. Thank you, Allstate. Coming into tonight, Brendan Sorsby had been playing as well as anybody in the country. Tied for the most touchdowns and only 1 turnover going back to week 1. But 2 takeaways by the defense for Utah in that first half. And Sorsby hit as he throws deep here. And the ball is knocked away at the last second, incomplete. Johnson got a hand on it. Goody was the intended target. It would have been about a 40-yard pass play.
When he had Goody, watch Johnson. He's going to work down. He's going to work all the way back and be here to create this pass breakup. It's a really good job by him, flying back and getting in position, or else that would have been an explosive play down the field.
It's been that kind of a night for Cincinnati's offense. Sorsby 8 of 21, 113 yards, a lost fumble, and a pick. He'll take another shot, and this one's on the money to Cyrus Allen. Allen off to the races. Touchdown, Cincinnati. An 88-yard catch and run for a huge Bearcat score.
Boy, this is exactly what Cincinnati needed. The defense gets a stop, and Brendan Sorsby steps up. Man-to-man on the outside, Cyrus Allen, that's his 10th touchdown of the season, and he just burns Smith Snowden. One-on-one, safety not able to get over the top. What a start here for Cincinnati in the second half.
And Allen now second in the country in receiving touchdowns. Extra point makes it a 10-point deficit for Cincy.
So Brendan Sorsby's going to work Teo Johnson over. His eyes are going to start over here, and he's going to keep Teo Johnson from getting over the top. When he works back and he snaps two, ball is out of his hands. Cyrus Allen has the step, and it's a foot race to the end zone, and one Cyrus Allen not going to lose. That's the Brendan Sorsby we've seen all throughout the course of the season. And that's exactly the response Scott Satterfield wanted to see from his football team.
And he's been doing it his whole life. Wasn't really recruited at all coming out of high school. Had one offer from Abilene Christian, eventually Indiana, before it became this version of Indiana. Brought him to Bloomington. After a couple years, he left to go to Cincinnati. Had a terrific season last year for the Bearcats, but they struggled down the stretch, losing 5 in a row, and not many people were talking about him coming into the season. But now they've won 7 straight. They're back in this one early in the third.
Everybody talking about him now. 29 touchdowns on the season. An absolute dive delivered down the field to get his team back in this ball game.
Another touchback, and Utah will start on its 25. Sorsby does have one come-from-behind win already this season. That was against Kansas. They were actually down with 2 minutes to go in that game, and he led a game-winning drive. Obviously a long way to go here.
And I think that was a key point in the season, to have that come-from-behind victory. He played outstanding, and he told us that gave this team confidence. That was a point in the year where this team could have gone up, could have gone down. They were able to come from behind, get that road victory, and they haven't lost since.
Devin Dampier on the design quarterback run. Tripped up at the line of scrimmage, but was able to soar forward for a couple of yards. Coleman made the initial hit for Cincinnati.
Really good. Simeon Coleman setting that edge. Upends Dampier. Just not much space, not much running room. That's 4 straight plays now. Good tackling from the Cincinnati defense.
Much more sound here in the third quarter defensively. Dampier going deep, and the ball underthrown. It is juggled and incomplete, but a flag. Bentley couldn't hang on, but a penalty marker down. Antoine Peak Jr. in coverage downfield for the Bearcats.
Pass interference. 14-yard penalty. First down.
Dowlin Bentley, kind of a screen and go. He's going to bluff like he's going to block on the perimeter. And Antoine Peak Jr. just never quite gets turned around. Too much contact. Draws the flag.
And pass again incomplete, so be a 15-yard penalty out to about the 43-yard line. That is the 6th penalty on Cincinnati in this game. Devin Dampier, transfer from New Mexico, led the Mountain West in total offense last year. He's had a terrific season for the Utes this year. A touchdown pass in this game, and going deep here, and the pass knocked down at the last second by Peak, incomplete. Davis was the intended target for Utah.
Well, timing is everything, and the timing from Antoine Peak Jr. is perfect. Comes in late, watch the right hand, rake this ball out, and get the pass breakup. Ryan Davis once again had a step. The ball was delivered perfectly. Just an outstanding individual effort by Antoine Peak Jr. down the field.
Seeing a lot of deep shots by both teams in this game. They fake the jet sweep. Dampier finds some room, and he's got a first down with that great hesitation. To the 45-yard line of Cincinnati, and a gain of 13.
Once again, they're going to pull backside guard, backside tackle, and it's going to set up right there inside. It's a great cutback by Dampier. He starts to the right, works back to the left, the overflow of the defense, and a quality pickup with the good vision from Dampier.
He's right at 500 rushing yards on the year, 1,100 rushing yards last year. But his passing has been on point here tonight. A strike to Buchanan. And another Utah first down and a gain of 15.
Well, he is throwing the football with conviction. Ball jumping out of his hand. This is the best I've seen him throw it all season. Love the timing here with J.J. Buchanan on the in-cutting route. Devin Dampier doing a nice job leading this offense down the field to try to match that score from Cincinnati.
An injured player for Cincinnati, Jake Golday, just went to the sideline. Their leading tackler. And to your point on Dampier, he's been on target all year, leading the Big 12 in completion percentage. Bray on the jet sweep. Grounded at the 27-yard line. So about 3 yards there on first down. Utah up 10 nearing the midway point of the third quarter. BYU and Cincinnati atop the Big 12 standings, 5-0. They will meet in a couple of weeks in Cincinnati. BYU off this week, will be at Texas Tech next week. College game day is there. Tech at 5-1. The game back in the loss column at the top spot in the standings. Another strike. Davis on the catch, belted at the 30, close to a first down. Or at the 20 rather, and it is a first down for Utah in the red zone now.
With safety just playing off, and this is just Ryan Davis is going to lock up right here in the soft part of this zone. Little slippage backside there by Harrison as he tries to come out of his break, and another first down for Utah.
A nice response here by the Utes after Cincinnati had the big play. Offensively, they fake the jet sweep. Dampier to the end zone. A lot of contact, and it's incomplete. And no flag. Buchanan, the intended receiver, Matthew McDoom, had the coverage.
Well, and he's given up a lot of size. They wanted to isolate Buchanan, who's 6'3" on the outside with the 5'9". McDoom. There's some contact, but they're both pushing on each other. I like the no flag there. And how about the right hand raking that ball away last minute by McDoom?
I'm with you. A lot of contact, but both guys going for the ball.
Those guys are fighting there for position. And McDoom able to make a play, giving up about 6 inches. A false start on the right side by Utah there.
That's the 4th penalty on Utah. They got that heavy package in with Moiai at 6th offensive lineman. We've seen that a lot throughout this game. Sometimes we've seen 7 linemen.
Offense, number 55, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Spencer Fano, right tackle. Utah's 2 losses against Texas Tech, at BYU. They thumped Colorado last week, 53-7. And they got a 10-point lead here. Here comes a reverse, and Bray is hit in the backfield and dragged down at the 30-yard line. That was beautifully read by Jalen Hunt. He was all over it from jump.
Penetration will kill anything like this. Watch Hunt get up the field, create this penetration, and blow this play up as Daniel Bray's coming around the backside. Hunt gets there initially, the pursuit, and then Hunt, the second effort to get off the ground and make the play. Big negative play created by Jalen Hunt.
Yeah, loss of 4, and they're nearing being out of field goal range on 3rd down and 19. Dampier bouncing around in the pocket, finally unloads into the end zone. It's picked off, intercepted by Christian Harrison. And Harrison brought down at the 17-yard line. First takeaway of the game for Cincinnati.
Well, Devin Dampier had all day. He was bouncing around, waiting, patting the football. And it's Christian Harrison reading the eyes of the quarterback. And a big takeaway by Cincinnati back in this ball game.
DFP projection, Tuesday on ESPN.
Well, you just heard of the College Football Playoff rankings release coming on ESPN. The College Football Playoff Top 25 show presented by Allstate. What do you got, Dusty?
This is what, if I'm in that committee room and on Tuesday, this is how I would see it. Indiana's #1 for me. They get a blowout win today at Maryland. Ohio State 2, A&M 3, Bama 4, Georgia 5, Oregon 6, got Ole Miss at 7, BYU, Texas Tech 8, 9, Notre Dame with 2 losses at 10, Virginia 11, and Memphis right now for me will be the highest ranked group of 5 team.
Fans, don't forget to go to ESPN.com/Allstate Playoff Predictor and check out your team's chances to make the college football playoff. A gain of 2 for Chance Walker on first down.
And obviously
Chance Williams.
A lot of football left to be played. What did you think of my bracket that I've been working on here throughout the course of the evening with games coming final?
I think Ohio State's better, but I like the fact you had Indiana ahead of them. I think the resume says they should be 1.
Owen teams out this year, Dave. Everybody.
Sorsby hit as he tries to throw it down the sideline, but once again throws it out of bounds, intended for Caleb Goody, and now it's 3rd down and 8. There are 2 takeaways by Cincinnati, the interception earlier, and then there was a forced fumble recovered by the Bearcats after Sorsby threw a pick. Utah was going to go in and score either on that play or after the interceptor was down, and that's why it's 24-14 instead of 31-14. And now Sorsby faced with a 3rd down and 8.
John Henry Daly had that last pressure coming off the right side.
Out of empty. Sorsby with time, and that pass off target incomplete. Going for Caldwell. And so a 3 and out for the Bearcats after the takeaway.
Well, you saw Brendan Sorsby throwing his hands up. On the outside, it's Don Saunders. Boy, there's a lot of grabbing there on that route. Looking for the very minimum some defensive holding. He's asking for the flag, and I think he should have got one. No flag on the field. The quick 3 and out for Cincinnati after the interception.
Carvalho is deep. Fletcher gets the kick away, and it drives the return man back. Carvalho fields it on the 25, and he's up to the 40-yard line. Carvalho stiff-arming, and finally brought down at the 48. What a return, and Utah will have the ball near midfield with a 10-point lead when we come back. Dave Pasch, Dusty Dvorak, Taylor McGregor in Salt Lake City. Utah has dominated this game, and look at the time of possession. Wow. The defense for Cincinnati goes right back out there after the offense was only out there for 3 plays following the interception.
And a quick 3 and out, and we've already been on the field almost 30 minutes. I'd expect Utah to get back to leaning on this rushing attack on this drive.
Dampier will hand it off on first down. Rodgers puts his head down and picks up about 4. Sanks on the tackle.
The best rushing offenses in the country. #1 the Big 12 coming into tonight on the heels of that Dampier interception. It just feels like a drive where Kyle Whittingham lets that veteran offensive line roll up their sleeves, and we're just a collection of ball carriers here for this Utah rushing attack that you have to deal with.
Yeah, 5 different players have got a carry in this game. That's Bray on the jet sweep with a head of steam, getting a first down, and Bray's all the way down to the 33. Utah over 200 rushing yards on the day after 400 plus last week in the win over Colorado.
It's a really good job on the perimeter. Watch the blocking. It's Dalen Bentley outside. It's Ryan Davis. Just really good job helping spring that run for the speedy Daniel Bray. Well, how quick is he getting to the edge, Dave?
Didn't even play the first 4 games. But they inserted the true freshman a couple of games ago, and he's been deadly since. Here's Dampier. And he gets another first down for Utah. Gain of 11 down near the 21-yard line.
And just as we thought, getting back to run the football, now we're going to counter as they pull the backside offensive guard. They get the tight end Bentley out in front, 73 and 88. Excellent block by 73. Togiai, and a good way to start this drive with some quality runs from this Utah offense.
Dampier's got 69 yards on the ground. Parker has 91. Bray has 47. And it's Parker lined up as the Wildcat quarterback. Parker running to the left. And he's grabbed and brought down at the 20 by Whedon. So a 2-yard gain that time.
Well, this is really good here by Monte Whedon. Talk about setting edges. Watch him get up the field, play off this block, and then make the tackle of the very elusive Wayshawn Parker. That's how you draw it up, Dave. Use your hands to play off that block, stay square, and get the ball carried to the ground.
Holding Parker to the short gain. 2nd down and 9. Dampier on the design run. Tries to cut it back, and he's hog-tied by Coleman, but he got a hold of the face mask, and a flag comes soaring in. So it'll be the 7th penalty on Cincinnati tonight. Should put the ball around the 5-yard line.
Mistakes continue to mount for the Cincinnati team. And Micah Coleman is in good position. Just grabs the face masks. As he works past Dampier, almost ripped the helmet off of him. It's a very costly mistake. Instead of 3rd and probably 6. Now you're at 1st and goal inside the 10.
Keeps it. And a flag comes down as Dampier is tackled at the 4 by Simeon Coleman.
This might be a hold on 9, Ryan Davis on the perimeter.
Offense, number 9, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Ryan Davis has been really good. When you watch him on film, obviously we've seen the route running, the ability to make plays, but also really good on the edge, blocking. But as the defender tries to disengage, you see that jersey tug, and it draws the flag.
So that'll back Utah up to the 18-yard line. 1st and goal. 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. And a timeout. You saw Daniel Bray running off the field. And so there may have been too many men out there. And so timeout was taken by Kyle Whittingham. That will leave Utah with 2. BYU and Cincinnati both 5-0 in Big 12 play. Cincinnati's only loss overall was against Nebraska week 1. Texas Tech 5-1. You see the 4 teams with 2 losses. BYU's at Texas Tech next week. It's a noon kick. College Game Day will be there.
BYU has to go to Cincinnati 3 weeks from today. That's another huge game in this Big 12 race. That game's going to be off the charts. Loving's going to be out of control. I can assure you of that. And BYU has been very good this season. It's just there's a lot of really good matchups that are going to shape this Big 12 race to Arlington here down the stretch. Obviously this one here tonight, that one next weekend. It's going to be a great race here in November to see who can vie for those 2 spots in Arlington for a Big 12 championship.
And the champion then would get into the college football playoff. Dampier. Pass is caught near the 11-yard line. Nice play that time defensively by Whedon to drag Davis down after a gain of 7. 2nd and goal.
Ryan Davis has just been really running some crispy routes all night. Smart, working away from coverage all evening. 9 targets on the night, 8 receptions for 132 yards. And this connection that we saw a year ago at New Mexico continues here this season at Utah.
Dampier throwing again, and it's caught and spinning away at the 5, and down near the goal line is Buchanan. Check that. It was caught by Whittemore, just his third catch of the season, and he scores a touchdown for Utah. The Mississippi State transfer, who's barely played all year, gets targeted here late in the third, and a huge score. Extra point, trying to make it a 3-possession game. 31-14 Utah.
Well, tackling was an issue in the first half, and tackling is the issue on this Whittemore touchdown. It's 44 Whedon, and it's 8 Arnold. Neither one can get Whittemore on the ground after he catches the football. Could easily have been catch tackle. Goodbye Whittemore to shake 2, then 3 would-be tacklers from Cincinnati and will his way to the end zone through the hands of Christian Harrison. And you see the emotion there from Whittemore, and a huge touchdown for Utah to take back a 3-score lead.
The response by Devin Dampier, throws the interception, comes back, and leads his team down the field, both running and passing. And Whittemore pays off the possession with his first touchdown of the year and just his 3rd catch. McDoom is back. Curtis will kick it deep. So fair catch made touchback situation. Let's take a look at the Taco Bell Live Más student section. Only one student section can claim the title of Live Más student section of the year. Who will take home the trophy this year? Got to give these fans credit. They've been going strong since 7 a.m. local time when College game day kicked off. It's now 11 o'clock here in Salt Lake City.
What is it, the Muss over here at Rice Eccles? The student section has been awesome here. Oh, where's Waldo? There in the crowd. Halloween. Found him right there. What kind of prize do I get for that, Dave?
Got a guy dressed as a hot dog, too, in front of him. Sorsby back to work, down 17, late 3rd quarter. Give to Walker, and he stood up by Daly. Bounces off him, but no gain. Taylor?
Dave, let's not forget that there were also people we met at College game day this morning that claimed they had not slept. So I think the party started on campus at 7 a.m., but these students have been going back to last night, almost 24 hours.
It's been a great scene in Salt Lake City as Sorsby has it batted down. That is the 4th time there's been a batted football. And it was Leah who's had a couple of those.
Leah inside. And we talked with Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator. He just raved about what the defensive tackle has done for this defense all season. Formerly a DN, it's where he wanted to play. He's made that transition very nicely inside. A nice pass breakup on 2nd down.
You saw the camera shaking just a second ago from the crowd going wild here. They smell blood in the water, and Sorsby throws high and incomplete, intended for Noah Jennings. Another rough offensive possession for Cincinnati, and a punt forthcoming.
Well, Brendan Sorsby can feel that pressure. John Henry Daly screaming off the edge. Sorsby knows that ball is going to come out fast. Tight coverage down the field. It's poor timing on that 3rd down.
Carvalho, the deep man, just had a 23-yard punt return earlier. And here he goes again. Carvalho, past midfield. Kicker to beat. He beat him. Inside the 10. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown. if you're Cincinnati. Now down 23 with 1:36 to go in the third. Following a 75-yard punt return for a touchdown for true freshman Mana Carvalho. And the point after from Curtis.
Feels like an uppercut from this Utah special teams. And how about this crowd? You want to talk about an eruption? They lost it. The blocking here is perfect. Freeze it there, guys. Right here. I mean, you can't do it any better than this. Going to block by right here. And he's going to hit it right up the seam. It's Carvalho with the speed and the vision. And you touched on it, Mr. Pash. Just the kicker to beat. He's going to make a miss and dive into the end zone and give a commanding 24-point lead and send this fan base and this crowd into an absolute eruption and frenzy here at Rice-Eccles.
First punt return for a touchdown for Utah in 4 years. $14 points from Utah after Cincinnati scored that touchdown to get within 10. It looked like the Bearcats were alive. They got an interception. But a great response by the home team. McDoom is deep. And another touchback after the fair catch.
And when we talked to Scott Satterfield, asked him about this team in this season, the first thing he brought up was special teams. First thing he brought up was how good the kicking game was. Both his kicker hadn't missed a field goal all night, missed one tonight. How good the punter had been all year, downing people back in the 20 in the cover units. That was the most proud he was. Not the offense, not the defense, the special teams. And we have seen Utah dominating the special teams here tonight.
Missed field goal by Cincinnati. Now a punt return for a touchdown allowed by Cincinnati.
And the previous punt return was set Utah up with really good field position on the prior.
They run the jet sweep with Cyrus Allen. Pushed out of bounds at the 32-yard line. So a gain of 7 on the first play of this possession for Cincy.
We've been in some great venues together, my friend. 5 years doing this together. That's as loud as I've ever heard a stadium on a single play. Wow. I've heard a lot about Rice-Eccles, and we got a chance to feel that in its entirety on that last punt return.
Good throw by Sorsby. Royer gets walloped that time by Benny. Royer, we have not really called his name much. Many people think second or third round draft pick. And he's been targeted 4 times, but that's his first reception and shaken up. Sorsby, pump fake, sidearms it, incomplete. Intended for Caldwell. Saunders had good coverage.
Well, the pressure's coming, and Braden Sorsby starting to feel it. Jonathan Hall is going to come right through and get a shot on Sorsby right as he delivers this football. Catchable ball there that goes through the hands of Caldwell.
Sorsby 10 of 28, 211 yards, a touchdown, a pick, a lost fumble. In trouble here on the option. He just slides. And he gets only a yard on the play, bringing up 3rd down and long. What could be the final play of the quarter. By far, Brendan Sorsby's worst game of the season. He came in with 27 total touchdowns, tied for the national lead, and just 1 turnover. But he's turned it over twice. He does have a rushing score and a passing touchdown. And he hasn't had a lot of help from his defense. 38-14, Utah. The party began bright and early before the sun was even up. College game day kicked off here in Salt Lake City. And late into the night at Rice-Eccles. And probably into tomorrow with a big lead going to the 4th. Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Downey Unstoppables, the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week. Start of the fourth quarter. It is all Utah. Sorsby back to work, going downtown, and again a misfire on a deep shot intended for Caleb Goody. He's been overthrowing receivers all night, often leading them out of bounds, and now it's 4th and 9, and Cincinnati electing to punt it here.
And the coverage incredibly tight. Don Saunders stride for stride with Caleb Goody down the field. They have connected on 2 shots down the field, both to Cyrus Allen. Aside from that, there's been nothing at all down the field for this passing attack of Cincinnati.
It was 14-7 early in the game, Utah, as this will be down to the 15. And then it was 24-7 at halftime. Cincinnati made it a 10-point game, 24-14, but 14 straight points for Utah. Year 21 as the head coach for Kyle Whittingham. He was here as an assistant for 10 years. And back in the early 2000s, he thought he was going to get the head coaching job when there was a change. Instead, Urban Meyer was hired as the head coach from Bowling Green. Whittingham became Urban's defensive coordinator, and Whittingham told us that was the greatest thing that happened to him. He was disappointed at the time when he didn't get the job, but he said learning under Meyer for 2 years how to run a program changed everything. Said he would not have been ready for the job at that time, looking back.
He said Urban Meyer taught him the meticulous, organized planning and the attention to detail it takes to have success as a head coach. He waited his time, and it's been an incredible run for Kyle Whittingham. When does it come to a close? We don't know. We know who will be taking over. Morgan Scalley, his defensive coordinator and former player that played for him here at Utah, is the coach in waiting when Kyle Whittingham decides to hang it up. But it's been a tremendous run here at Utah, and you got to respect the heck out of the way this Utah program has delivered under Whittingham. It's a blue-collar culture. It's physicality, it's toughness, it's execution, and it's been unbelievably impressive to watch.
Rodgers tackled at the 20. 3rd down coming up. Let's check in with Taylor.
Well, back to the point about Urban Meyer and how meticulous he was in preparation and having everything accounted for. I asked Whittingham for an example of that. He said you could sit in my office here today in October, early November, and ask him what his plans were for June 14th in the middle of the summer, and he would know exactly what he would be doing. Everything accounted for. It's something Kyle definitely learned from him.
And what was Meyer's response about Kyle Whittingham? He's one of the best I've ever been around. Had a long friendship, someone that Whittingham talks to often, along with his former teammate at BYU, Andy Reid, obviously the head coach of the Chiefs, as that pass was knocked away by James, and it's 4th down and 5.
And Andy Reid, his former teammate when they played together at BYU, longtime friend, and obviously someone that he looks to and mentors this entire career that he's had. Incredible.
So Utah will punt it away. But down 24, so technically 3 possessions, but asking a lot there, and don't even know that Cincinnati will get 3 more possessions. That's a rare stop for the defense to get the ball back to Sorsby. And that was nearly blocked. And the fair catch made by Covey at the 40-yard line. 94 consecutive sellouts there at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Going all the way back to 2010, and they're on their way to a big home win here against Cincinnati. For Miami, but really the story there is the loss for Miami. That's now 2 losses in the last 3 weeks. Remember, prior to that Friday night game against Louisville, there were people saying Miami was the best team in the country.
Well, they were ranked number 2 in the country at that time when they lost to Louisville. Also, another unbeaten goes down. Georgia Tech loses at NC State today. An impressive win for Dave Dorn, and the ACC, not 1 but 2 teams losing, and going to likely fall out of the top 10 on the road here today as Brendan Sorsby goes to the turf.
Got back near the line of scrimmage, but it's going to be 3rd and long. Jonah Leah has been all over the field with the tackle. Sorsby hobbling a bit. For 3rd and long. Sorsby completing only 35% of his passes. He's thrown an interception. He's lost a fumble. More turnovers in this game than he had all season coming in. They keep it on the ground, and Covey has a first down.
Well, good blocking off the left side here as they do a good job just hitting this outside zone and catch Utah not ready. The veteran center Gerhardt with a nice block.
Sorsby, deep ball, knocked away by Saunders. What a great play. Intended for Goody, but Saunders got that left hand up and got the pass breakup.
Well, he's 6'4" long and in great position here, step for step with Goody. Left hand up, pass deflection, just not a lot of separation these Cincinnati receivers able to create against the back end of this Utah defense.
Did have hold of the jersey there of Goody with the right hand, but he shielded that from the official. Covey running left again and tumbles to the 45-yard line, so just a 2-yard gain. Another 3rd and long situation here for the Bearcats, down 24. They've won 7 in a row. They're unbeaten in conference play. Their only loss week 1 against Nebraska, but obviously in big time trouble here on the road. Got a bye week, then they got Arizona, BYU, and TCU to close out the year. This holds. BYU will be the only unbeaten team in conference play left in the Big 12. They're at Texas Tech next week. Sorsby from the pocket and again throws out of bounds. Intended for Jennings. Flag down in the backfield.
Holding. Offense. Number 77. The penalties decline. 4th down.
Cincinnati will go for it on 4th down and 8.
And this pressure is immense. I mean, they are loading up and they're coming after Brendan Sorsby. And this is an offensive line. It's only allowed 2 sacks all season. They have not given up a sack yet tonight, but the pressure has played a huge role in the struggles in this passing game for Brendan Sorsby in Cincinnati.
Pressure coming up the middle. And a flag down. Pre-snap movement. Buford the right tackle.
We'll start. Offense. Number 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
4th down and 13.
And Utah is bringing an inside pressure. And Buford, just watch, both these linebackers are going to come in. It's going to be Buford. It gets an early jump. And the mistakes continue. Now 8 penalties for Cincinnati.
Boy, Sorsby's really fired up. I'm wondering if he's upset they're not going for it here. You're down 38-14. I get it's 4th and 13, but what does a punt accomplish at this stage? If Sorsby's mad about the decision, I'm with him. Carvalho and a punt return for a touchdown. Won't even get a shot. This one was punted almost into the stands. That's one way to keep it away from the guy that just had a 75-yard punt return. Yep, Sorsby upset about something coming to the bench. Team down 38-14.
ESPN College Football is presented by Downy Unstoppables, the laundry scent boosters that keep your clothes feisty fresh.
Impressive show by Utah offensively, defensively, and on special teams. Carvalho with that 75-yard punt return for a touchdown. The last score for Utah, it was 7-7, but since then it's been all Cincinnati.
There was a point in this second half.
Oh, Utah, excuse me.
24-14. Cincinnati got the interception of Dampier, and then it was a quick 3-and-out, and then Utah scored, and then another quick stop, and then they get the punt return for a touchdown. An impressive showing indeed, Mr. Pash. All 3 phases, Kyle Whittingham has had his team ready to play.
Dampier will keep it on 1st down. grabbed by Isaiah Rodgers. Here's Taylor.
Dave, a lot of frustration on the Cincinnati sideline, both offensively and defensively. But for much of the third quarter and then the entire fourth quarter, Cincinnati will be without their star linebacker, Jake Golday. He is out with an undisclosed injury. That was one of Dusty's dudes, one of the best players on this field, and a huge blow for this defense that's fighting and clawing to try to stay in this game.
Yeah, not so much for this game, Taylor, but for the next game, although they do have a bye. They play Arizona in 2 weeks. And they certainly need Golday down the stretch.
Yes, they do. Such an integral part of what they do on defense.
That was Ficklin taking the snap and handing it off to Parker. He'll be short of the line to gain by a couple yards. Got tagged that time. Jonathan Thompson with the hit.
And a great leader for this defense. He's had a great story, Golday has, from Central Arkansas down to Cincinnati last year. Stepped in, and this is a former defensive lineman who stepped in, played well, and took his game to another level. And I'll just be intrigued to see how Cincinnati bounces back from this game. You mentioned the bye. They get Arizona and BYU at home before closing up on the road at TCU. This will be their second loss of the season, but first loss in conference play, so they are not out of this Big 12 race by any stretch.
Dampier keeps it and has a first down. Well, let's go to that Big 12 championship race. You mentioned this earlier, and when we showed your bracket, which you expect to be released, how it will look Tuesday night when we have our first reveal. One Big 12 team in the college football playoff. You feel like that's the likely way it plays out?
I think two's possible. I wouldn't close the door on anything, but I think that there's going to be some cannibalization here in November. And yeah, if you're asking me what do I think is most likely, I think that most likely they'll get one in, but it's definitely possible they can get multiple teams in. I think the two best teams in the conference right now play next week in Lubbock. And, you know, if Texas Tech can give BYU their first loss, then you've got no unbeatens remaining in the conference. But if BYU can get that win and they can remain undefeated and give Tech their second loss, all of a sudden now Cincinnati right back in this race. So there's a lot. We have 4 more weeks of football, a lot left, but yeah, I think that the most likely scenario is probably one, but you never know. It's what's going to make for a fun November.
Parker straight ahead to the 40 for 3 yards. But to make the Big 12 championship game, still a lot of work to do for Utah. Obviously, a loss today would basically eliminate them. Even with a win, they're looking at 13% chance of getting it.
If the best scenario for the Big 12, I think, would be either BYU going undefeated throughout the regular season and then losing in the Big 12 championship, because I do think if BYU goes undefeated regular season, they're getting in regardless. Or if you have Texas Tech, they beat BYU next week, and then they went out the rest of the way, and you have a rematch, BYU, Texas Tech in a Big 12 championship game. I could see in that scenario 2 teams getting in for the Big 12. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but
well, there's other conferences and a team that's an independent that could come into play. Notre Dame can't lose. They can't lose another game. They have to win out. Right. And if they were to lose, now you think maybe they're out, and then that could add another SEC team. And there's a chance. I think it's like 67% right now, according to our research, that the SEC could get 5 teams in. And Georgia Tech losing today for the reason you said about BYU going unbeaten and trying to get a second team in, that hurts the ACC.
No doubt. They get a chance against Georgia at home late in the season, so it's...
Dampier on the run here, and he throws complete. A short gain, maybe a yard for Buchanan, 4th down.
Look, the playoff has been awesome, okay, because it creates a conversation for so many different teams late in the season. But just look at today. Look what we had happen today in the ACC. We got 4 teams in the top 14 that lose. You know, we look at these schedules, we just start penciling wins. Teams are going to get beat around college football. That's why projecting exactly how this is all going to play out and how many conferences are going to get what. I know we've got analytics and computers and can give us all these different readings of what's the most likely scenario, but the reality is college football is as unpredictable right now as it's ever been.
Which is the beauty of it.
Yes.
Covey under it, and he did not signal for a fair catch. And he was tackled immediately. And that's Tyson Veit, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, and the reason that we're showing you him at this point in the game is his grandfather, Richard Tyson Eckert, fought at Pearl Harbor Died in World War II in March 19, 1945. He's listed on the memorial in Honolulu as we honor those who served. Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Very thankful to all our men and women who have served, currently are serving, or will serve. As the pass sails on Sorsby again. Intended for Johnson. Sorsby now 10 of 32. 211 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a lost fumble.
The pressure just continues to mount off the edge. I mean, it's coming from all over. And now we just get an edge turn loose. Trey Reynolds unaccounted for, forcing the ball out of Sorsby's hand almost immediately.
Well, they didn't have Evan Pryor coming in, their top running back, but they were rotating backs early on. They were running the ball with success. Sorsby's pass again high, but it was caught. Going upstairs is Johnson to make the catch, or Jennings rather to make the catch. But not having Pryor didn't help, but they still were able to move the ball in that first quarter. It just defensively they couldn't get a stop, and Sorsby did not throw the ball well tonight. Now we got an official stoppage.
I really think it's a combination of both. There's no doubt Brendan Sorsby did not have one of his better games, but I mean the coverage, that was one of the questions we had coming in. How would these receivers, pass catchers, how would the pass catchers of Cincinnati be able to deal with this man-to-man tight coverage down the field? And the reality is they have not handled it very well. And you couple that with a quarterback who's had a fabulous season, has an off night tonight, and it's led to 11 of 33 passing on the evening.
And the ball's on the ground, fumbled and picked up by Cincinnati. It's scooped up after the forced fumble by Dumouni. And another turnover, the third by Cincinnati in this game.
Looks like Cash Dillon going to put his shoulder right on the football, and it's going to come out. See him working here off the edge. Plays off the block, sets a good firm edge. As he makes that tackle, the ball's out. And Utah quickly on top. Can't tell if that was Holtzclaw or if that was Cash Dillon. But a combination on that tackle forced the ball out.
Yeah, they tag team. They both got a piece of that ball, and then Dumouni with the recovery. And so Utah will take over at the 26-yard line. They had 4 giveaways coming into this game all year, and 3 in this game. Third in the country, fewest takeaways coming in. Nate Johnson on the jet sweep inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line as Utah continues to get more and more ball carriers involved as all the shirts are off here in Salt Lake City.
The party is on here at Rice-Eccles. It's a new trend going around college football fans. Seen this in a lot of stadiums so far this year. Not for the broadcasters, though.
Well, some just Pat, but not, you're not doing that. And I'm not.
I think you're going to keep your shirt and tie on. Right? Still have a few minutes without the change, I guess.
Wayshawn Parker stood up, but he never went down. Did get the first down at the 14-yard line. Again, Utah will have a bye week, then at Baylor, at Kansas State here, and at Kansas to close out the season. So they are still alive with 2 losses. They'll be still 2 back of BYU when they lose the head-to-head, but a game back of that 2nd spot in the Big 12 title game, and they'll have the head-to-head with Cincinnati. They lose the head-to-head with Texas Tech. And again, there's still other teams with 2 losses. Arizona State still hanging around. They're 4-2. Houston lost today to West Virginia, so they've got 2 losses. Ficklin inside the 10. And Ficklin lowering the shoulder on the defender. Bert Ficklin, the true freshman quarterback who started last week when Dampier was injured. And he lowered the shoulder that time on Xavier Williams, the safety.
Boy, he is a talented runner. And not afraid. Going to lower the shoulder on the sidelines. Some edges closer to the end zone. He was excellent a week ago, Dave. And they're excited about him. 151 yards on the ground as he made that start against Colorado. As the game went on, he threw it with more confidence and a bright future for that true freshman, Bert Ficklin.
Ficklin off play action. In trouble in the backfield. Being chased. Pump fakes. Keeps it. Keeps going after he's hit. And he's into the end zone for the touchdown. Simeon Coleman got the shot on Ficklin. He got into the end zone, but shaken up after the hit.
Wow. The ability to withstand this hit from Coleman. Real action coming at you. Just a big hit. Bang! And Ficklin spins around, stays in bound, reaches that ball to the goal line to get in the end zone. Dave, he's from Muskogee, Oklahoma. I don't know if you know much about Muskogee, Oklahoma. There's some tough dudes from Muskogee, Oklahoma, including their quarterback, Bert Ficklin.
Now, where is that in the state? How close to Oklahoma City?
Muskogee's an hour and 45, 2 hours away, northeast Oklahoma.
I knew you would know that.
Bert Ficklin, this guy, over 10,000 passing yards in high school, 119 passing touchdowns, 2,000 rushing yards, another 42 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he was a prolific quarterback out of Muskogee, Oklahoma, and another guy overlooked. He is committed to Texas State up until right before signing day. Utah comes in, finds him, offers him, and he's had a great impact during the season already in his true freshman year.
It's 45-14. Now, Cincinnati wasn't favored, but they have the higher ranking. And it looks like in this game the ranking should be reversed, and you got to wonder if Cincinnati is going to fall all the way out of the top 25 with this big of a loss, even though it's their first conference defeat. Be interesting to see where BYU is, and with teams in front of them losing, if they're up to 7 or 8. And then obviously Tuesday we've got the official college football playoff rankings reveal on ESPN, where we'll see what the committee thinks about all of these teams. All right, kick off your week 9 with the Countdown crew. All the breaking stories and previews leading up to the kick. Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern. Monday Night Football, 2 teams that desperately need a win. The Cardinals and Cowboys from Dallas, 8 Eastern, ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes. Peyton and Eli on ESPN2. Coverage starts with NFL Live and SVP, and the Countdown crew, 6 Eastern, all the way through the end of the game and beyond.
He'll be there at Jerry World for that one. It's the radio voice of the Cards.
Jacoby Brissett making his 3rd straight start. For the Cardinals trying to end a 5-game skid. Brady Lichtenberg is in the game at quarterback now for Cincinnati. Sorsby's night is over. Here's Chance Williams. And he gets about 5 yards.
Back to what you said, asking about BYU, that is one thing I think it's important to know. The AP polls have nothing to do with what the committee's going to do. Right? The committee's going to take all their information. Those 13 members are going to gather there in Grapevine, Texas, and come out and give you their rankings. And I agree. Undefeated BYU, this win that they have over Utah is looking better and better with the way Utah has been playing as of late. It'll be very interesting to see where BYU's at. I think where Notre Dame is at. 2 teams a lot of people will be keeping an eye on to see what these initial rankings show us, what they tell us they're valuing so far throughout the course of the season.
You have Indiana number 1. I'm really curious what the committee says there, because Indiana has been blowing teams up.
And they've got that excellent road win against Oregon. Now, would it shock me if they have Ohio State? No. I think you make a case for Texas A&M and what they've done this year. Right? I think those three are a little bit of cut above resume and eye test wise based off what we've seen so far this season.
First down for Williams. That'll take us down to the 2-minute timeout. Utah up 45-14. Again, this started at 7 a.m. and Taylor is getting into it now with the fans. Started at College Game Day and still going here late in Utah. They started bright and early. The sun wasn't even up when College Game Day kicked off. The fans were out in full force. And it's been a great day to be a Ute. They're crushing Cincinnati 45-14 as we check in with Taylor in the stands.
I'm in the student section, Dave Pash. I began the day at College Game Day and I'm finishing the day up here with the student section. And you can notice much of them behind me have their shirt off. If you're unfamiliar, this happens around college football because what happened, there was a meme that went viral of students taking off their shirts, and it's a copycat league. Everybody else started doing it, and here we are. I did ask these students how long they've been up. The general consensus, everybody, is that they went out last night for Halloween, went to College Game Day this morning, and they have yet to sleep. So here we are.
I don't know where when they're gonna sleep.
Be careful up there, Taylor.
They're going.
I think they've had enough. They realize the clock's winding down. It's time to continue the party elsewhere, I'm guessing. Pitch to Zion Johnson, tackled in bounds. So Utah with a big win tonight, and Cincinnati now will look to regroup during the bye week. They will fall into a tie with with Texas Tech at 5-1 in conference play. BYU alone atop the standings at 5-0. BYU will be at Texas Tech. It's a noon kick next week. And College Game Day will be there for that. Lichtenberg dragged down. Another play or two, and this will be over.
Great for the Big 12 back-to-back weeks with the spotlight on this conference with College Game Day going there. It's been a phenomenal scene here in Salt Lake City today. I'm sure it will be very similar in Lubbock next weekend. I expect that's going to be a battle of top 10 teams based off what the committee puts out on Tuesday night. Great matchup there.
So you think Texas Tech will be in the top 10?
Well, that's what we had on the graphic earlier. Yeah, I had them at number 9 coming into that. Well, today, again, it's the AP, but with the APs, 8, 9, 10, 14 teams losing. And again, Texas Tech's one loss on the road at Arizona State. They didn't have their starting quarterback. And you think about the win they had here at Utah, 34-10. When they're whole, we had a chance to see them earlier this year against Houston.
The win here looks a lot better now.
It looks fantastic now.
Because Utah's rolling. They smoked Colorado last week. And they've scored 40 or more in 6 games this season. It's the most since that undefeated season we were talking about earlier in 2004. Alex Smith was the quarterback on that team. He was the guest picker earlier today, College Game Day. Morgan Scalley was on that team. He's the D coordinator and the head coach in waiting whenever Kyle Whittingham says that I'm done, but he's enjoying himself right now in year 21. He's got a really good team, and they're still alive to get into the Big 12 title game after a 45-14 win, the first conference loss for Cincinnati. For Dusty Dvorak, Taylor McGregor, Dave Pash saying so long from Salt Lake City. Ryan Smith, Trevor Scales standing by with World Series highlights. The Dodgers go back-to-back. Great day of college football, all that and more coming up on SportsCenter.